There's no dream job for an animator. 21,881. That's the amount of people in Japan that have died due to health complications. Poor working conditions such as low pay, slave labor violations, and overworked staff are common in the Japanese workforce, and your animators are no exception. Studio Madhouse was recently accused of violating labor laws. Employees were working nearly 400 hours per month and went 37 consecutive days without a single day off. A male animator's 2014 suicide was classed as a work-related incident after investigators had found out that he'd worked 600 hours in the month leading up to his death. Stick around till the end to learn how to help raise more awareness for today's issues. If you learned anything interesting, then please hit the subscribe button. A shocking number of animators are being mistreated for such amazing work like Chainsaw Man, Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, and many more. But why is that? And how are studios getting away with it? Well, it's thanks to freelancers. In Japan, studios use freelancers as a loophole because they don't have to worry about labor codes. This allows studios to pay under minimum wage and give the artists deadlines that are too short to give for an in-house animator. In the US and the UK, animators get paid on an hourly rate, usually around $49 or £17.95. Japanese animators get paid drastically different. They get paid per frame. Each frame is worth around 200 yen, which translates to around $1.80. So for a full second of animation, they would only earn $43.20. If an animator did 300 drawings per month, they would only make around $540. Per year, that only equals to around $6,048. Japanese Animation Creators Association claims animators earn 1.1 million yen per year in their 20s, 2.1 million in their 30s, and a livable but still depressing amount of 3.5 million yen in their 40s to 50s. The poverty line in Japan is 2.2 million yen, so you won't make a living wage until you're in your 30s to early 40s, which is shocking compared to the average yearly wage of an animator in the US or the UK. But why are animators being paid so little for their amazing work? Part of the reason is because animators love the work they do, and that's what allows companies to exploit their workers. Animators are hired on a piecework contracts where their income is directly tied to how many frames they can draw, which means animators tend to make low wages until their 4th year where they can draw more effectively and quickly. And due to their work hours, many of them can't get part-time jobs to make any extra money. Most animators also live in Tokyo, which causes new financial hurdles for them to deal with. A small one-room apartment in Tokyo can cost $550 a month, and you might not get utilities included, so putting those on top, you'd be looking at $600 to $620 a month, and that's without factoring in food. It's also been found out that some animation employees ask their future hires if they have any savings or if family can help with the financial struggles because they get paid so little. Why are they paid so low? It's thanks to the creator of Astro Boy.
Soaring high in the skies, he may be small but only in size.
Basically, Tezuka and his company were going to take a loss with the actual show, quoted Michael Crandall, an assistant professor of Japanese studies at Leiden University. They planned to make up for the loss of Astro Boy with toys and merchandise, but because that particular scenario worked out for Tezuka and the broadcasters, it became the status quo. These prices are so ridiculous because they're still based on what Tezuka came up with back then. The drawings were very simple. You had a circle head, dot eyes, and maybe you can draw an in-between in 10 minutes. I could earn some money at that pace, but Japanese anime now, one drawing is so detailed, you've worked for an hour and you've only made $2. Look at the difference between these two animes.
Why don't you make a boy robot?
A boy robot? A boy robot?
Decades apart, and animators are getting paid the same amount for triple the work. Animators make ends meet any way they can. Terumi Nisha, a freelance animator and game designer, earns most of her money from video game animations because she has to take care of her parents. On an animator's salary, she would have little chance of feeding herself. A lot of animators are forced to work overtime for a project. With 200 animes being produced per year, it's not uncommon for them to collapse during work. In 2021, Mushio, a freelance animator at MAPPA, told Anime News about his time working at the animation studio. He said that working at MAPPA felt like working in a factory with a highly toxic environment. Demands for drawing revisions kept pouring in until the sun rose again the next day, making the MAPPA animator exhausted, especially because at the time, MAPPA was working on 4 major animation projects at the same time. Animators rarely get breaks when they're working. The average Japanese animator works around 12 to 18-hour shifts per day. These artists are being severely overworked just so they can make ends meet. To put things into perspective, the average American only works around 200 hours per month. There are reports in Japan that some animators are working around 400 to even 600-hour months. You might think if they work all that overtime, surely they're getting paid, but due to karoshi culture, that's not the case. Karoshi is a huge thing in Japan. Karoshi's history in animation has mainly to do with wage theft and overwork. In 2010, a 28-year-old animator committed suicide shortly after he quit his job. The animator worked 100 hours of overtime without pay for several months. An online journal that the animator kept documented that he had only taken 3 days off in 10 months and worked as late as 4 AM. Young workers are one of the biggest highest exploited demographics in the anime industry, with karoshi being this thing where a lot of people think, oh, to be a good employee, you must work overtime without pay. This is only one of the many issues in the anime industry. Japan's widely known for their advancements in technology, from capsule hotels to vending machines, but when it comes to the animation industry, a lot of studios still rely on hand-drawn animators. As the years go on, hand-drawn animation has become less and less dominant in favor for 2D digital and 3D animations. So how is this affecting animators? In short, there aren't enough people being trained in traditional animation, with a lot of universities now favoring to teach people in Toon Boom Harmony, Adobe Animate, Redis Studio, and Maya. There just isn't enough people who are still learning traditional animation. When these graduates leave university and join a studio only to find out that they're only using traditional animation, it can bring the production process to a halt. Not only do new hires have to get used to the process, but they also have to perfect their skills, and if they make a mistake, they can't simply hit Ctrl-Z and instead have to restart the entire frame from the beginning. The worst case for working in traditional animation is when you've completed an animated sequence and the director or head animator tells you you've messed up. You can't simply go back and edit the line, you have to restart from scratch. Talent shortage, inefficient production, and having to train new hires, plus really low pay. If you think it's bad now, then you have no idea what you're in store for the rest of this video. Netflix, Crunchyroll, Hulu, Prime Video, and HBO Max. All of these streaming sites have two things in common. The first is they all have anime on them. Netflix has Neon Genesis, Crunchyroll has One Piece, and the second is that most of the people that worked on these animes didn't see more than a single piece of the money that these shows made from people streaming them. Netflix buys animes dirt cheap, and animators don't get enough of the cut from it. In the early 1960s, with networks unwilling to take a risk on an animated TV series, creators massively undersold their shows to get them on the air, and it's been that way for the past 60 years. June 21st, 2019, Netflix purchased Neon Genesis Evangelion for north of $3 million. The same year, they made $20 billion. All that profit, and animators didn't get a fair cut. So not only are they being taken advantage of from studios, higher-ups, TV networks, but also streaming services. Animators were paid bottom rate on a recent anime production for Netflix, according to Ichi. The animator and storyboard artist took to Twitter to call out the company, claiming that artists worked on a Netflix show at Tokyo Studio Mappa animators were paid as little as 3,800 yen per cut. To avoid any misunderstandings, I have to say, as I see it, the problem is Netflix, with all their resources it has, is starting to commission at lower rates. The rates may be even lower than a TV series. Henry Thurlow, an American animator working in Japan, told BuzzFeed News that he's been hospitalized multiple times due to exhaustion. On average, 200 animes are released per year, with so many people either quitting or not being trained for the work. It's up to the people who stay on, who don't have any other options, to carry the load. The problem with anime is that it just takes way too long to make. Zakuni, an animator at Studio Yuriki, and Donga Kobe said it's extremely meticulous. One cut, one scene would take 3 to 4 animators working on it. I make the rough drawings, and then the other 2 people would check it, a more senior animator and the director. Then it gets back to me and I clean it up. After that, it goes to an in-betweener and we make the final drawings. A single frame could take up to more than an hour. Even if you move up the ladder and become a key animator, you won't earn much. And even if your title was a huge hit like Attack on Titan, you won't make any of it. It's a structural problem in the anime industry. There's no dream job for an animator. To quote what I said at the start of the video, Madhouse has been found out for violating labor codes. Employees were found to work 400 hours per month and went 37 days straight without a single day off. One animator in 2014 committed suicide, and it was classed as a work-related incident after investigators found out he had worked more than 600 hours in that month leading up to his death. All of these big-name companies have issues rooted deep into them because they're all built on an old, highly flawed system that's been responsible for hospitalizing and causing people to take their own lives due to poor working conditions. And that's why I want to talk about a GoGetFundMe called Raising Anime Production Budgets. With the support of anime fans, they're tackling the long-standing issue of underpaid animators. Their objective is to foster a system that provides ample budgets for anime production and to set up the animation studio dedicated to enhancing the working conditions of their animators. As part of their ongoing commitment, they're thrilled to announce their second animated music video spotlighting a song by the renowned Aya Hironi, famous for playing Haru in The Melancholy of Haru Suzumiya. All of the information regarding this project and this GoGetFunding is going to be in the description below, so if you want to read up further on it, then click the links down there below. I'll have everything I can find. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you learned anything of value, then please hit the subscribe button and also make sure to share to raise awareness. My name is Mr. Penfold. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.